Spring has almost sprung, and that means that bees are going to be flying in the air, and that's a good thing, because today we're reviewing the Flywoo Flybee 16, as supplied by Your FPV. There's a link in the description down below if you want to grab your own. I think you might want to do on this one. Let's go check it out. So, as we come to the unboxing, and we'll also discuss a little bit of the spec while we're here. Now, what I do like about Flywoo is they do tend to have these very nice retail packaging. Some of the other drone manufacturers have relatively plain or poor boxes in comparison. But let's be honest, you're not here for the box. So, while I mess around and get it unboxed, let's talk about the spec. So, the Flywoo Flybee 16 encompasses the brand new DJI O4 Lite camera, which is a lightweight version of the DJI O4 Pro. It weighs just 8 grams. The drone is powered by Robo 10003 motors with 14,800 kV. They use 40mm Gemfan props with a 1.5mm shaft. It says it has a versatile battery connection option, but I will be the judge of that later on, because I think you all know exactly what I think of Flywoo's battery solutions, shall we call them. Now, the flight controller is the F405 all-in-one. It's actually a really good flight controller, and this is something I've used in other builds. It's got a HD port, so if you are of the ilk where you don't want to solder, you can just plug in your O3 or your O4 directly into this. It's got ELRS built into that board as well. It's got 5 serial UART ports. It's got an 8MB black box. It says it's rated for 12 amps. So it is really only designed for these smaller sort of models. Now, whilst we are showcasing and displaying the DJI O4 version, it is important to note that this does also come with an O3 Lite, a Cadex Walk Snail Avatar, or HD0 direct from Flywoo themselves, or any UK retailer, Your FPV, for example. There's loads of different options, so don't just think because we're reviewing the O4 version that you can only get it in an O4 version. You can get it in lots of different ones. Obviously, Flywoo have got their own filters and they've got their own mounting solutions for the O4 camera, so you know that it's very flexible. Now, opening the box, we can see straight away there's lots of foam to protect the drone. Unlike another particular review we did a short time ago, you get in there, you get spare props, spare screws, you get a 90. You also get a USB cable, which is a 90-degree right angle cable, just to make it that little bit easier to get in there. You also get obviously the documentation for the Flywoo flight controller as well. So if you wanted to add GPS or a buzzer or anything else after you've got the drone, you've got this schematic diagram here, which can sometimes be a bit difficult to find online, I've got to be honest. So keep hold of that, put it back in the box. You've obviously got stickers as well, and as I've said before, we only really buy brand new drones for the stickers, don't we? Let's be honest. By the way, there will be squatting quad stickers available soon, so yeah, hit your boy up for some of those in a little bit. Anyway, so the drone then comes shrink wrapped. Oh, sorry, you also get these stickers as well. These are battery stickers. So again, if you're a bit of a newbie, you may not know this. So for any experienced pilot, I do apologize. But it's best to number your batteries so that you're not using the same battery over and over again without realizing, and obviously draining that life cycle of that battery quicker than you would do if you say got 4 batteries and you use battery number 1 first, then number 2, then number 3, then number 4, and then went back to number 1. If they're not marked and they're not labeled, you might use battery number 1 for all 4 flights without realizing it. So I would recommend marking them and spreading the load as evenly as possible. The drone then comes shrink wrapped, and obviously it's got props already on it. It is literally ready to go out of the box. So I think that's quite enough mumbling and murmuring from me. We'll have a closer look at it. We've got a USB Type-C port, which we can see straight away. We will have a closer look shortly. We've got the O4 underneath, which is a little bit of a dicey design, but it's not too bad. It has got some sort of soft shock absorber on the bottom of it as well. And we've got that amazing Flywoo battery solution that I love so much. It's absolute. Yeah. As you may be able to tell, I'm not a fan. Let's move on. So first things first, how do you bind it? And I'm going to do this way for the last time, and then I'm going to put a tutorial video and show everybody how to do it properly. First thing is first, power on the quad 3 times in quick succession. Then open up your Lua script on your radio and hit bind. If you look in the right hand corner of the radio, you can see that line has now changed to a C. That means we have now successfully bound the drone to the controller. Easy as that. We can see from the widgets here, again I'll leave a link down below to those widgets, that we're connected at 25 milliwatts. We've got a link quality of 100%, an RSSI dBi of -16, and it's all done. It's as simple as that. Now, what we then need to do is plug in a USB, like so, to the top, and go into Betaflight, because we're going to need to set up our arming switches and our mode switches. Let's flick over to the PC now and do that. So once you've done that, we'll head over to the PC like this, and we'll hit connect, and we'll go through the Betaflight settings, and we'll make sure that this drone is set up properly. We can see that the MSP is correctly set up on UART6, and we've got a serial. Now, most important thing to check here is your arming maximum angle. Every drone should be set to 180 degrees. Unfortunately, Flywoo have left this at 25 degrees, which is really not good. It means if your drone is 26 degrees on a very slight tilt, and you try to arm it, you won't be able to. Now, if your drone's gone down somewhere, that's a real problem. So please do change that like I've done. Here is the PID tune as supplied by Flywoo. If anybody loses it and needs a copy of it, here it is. And here is the filter settings. Again, if ever you lose your tune and you can't find it, just come back to this video. I will do this for every new quad that I get from here on outwards. Now, I have moved the camera more square on with the monitor so you can see it better. But this arming angle is really important. Please make sure you set it to 180 and then hit save and close. Now, I need to, save and reboot. I need to then change my channel mappings. This is something that you probably won't have to do, but once I've done that, I can then check and make sure everything is correct. We then need to change our arming and other switches. So I use AUX1 for arming. And then I'm just going to switch these onto, I think I switched them around onto different or even the same switch. I'm not sure what I do. But just make sure that you've got these on a switch that you want to have them on, and they're in the position. So when they activate, that little vertical bar at the bottom moves into the horizontal bar at the top. That's when it's active. So make sure that your switch is in the right position for you. Then it's just a case of just checking the OSD to make sure that you're happy with it. There's lots and lots of information on this OSD. I probably wouldn't fly it like this, but I am going to fly it as per how it would come to you guys. And then just one final check is to see what version of Betaflight we're on, and we're on 4.5.1. So we're on the latest possible public release. So taking a closer look now at the QC and that amazing, ingenious battery design that Flywoo have got on their quads. We can see that again, there isn't really a huge amount to look at on these smaller quads, but the flight controller is a really nice flight controller. Everything is put in here nice and neatly without too much of a problem whatsoever. I could take it all apart and have a really good look at it, but the truth be told, from what I can see, I don't need to do that. If I ever suspected that there is something not quite right, or I couldn't actually make any of the details out, I would obviously take it apart. You can see some of the motor windings there. Looks a little bit sloppy, but I've seen a lot worse in the past 24 hours. So we'll take that. We'll accept that. And we can see here the 04 cable is neatly put underneath the mounting solution, so it's not going to get snarled up in the props. And you can easily access the 04 USB Type-C there as well. We've got that shock absorbing foam on the bottom of the 04 mount, so that will help when landing. I would just say to newbie pilots, just be really careful when you land, and perhaps even land in angle mode, just to make it easy for yourself, because you don't want to trash that 04. It is very, very fragile. Taking a look at the top of the motors, again, a little bit slack on some of the windings, but overall, for such small motors, I can't really complain too much. I think we get away with that without too much of a problem. Again, just checking the solutions on top, and we can see we've got a USB Type-C, but we already knew that from before. It's got Flywoo Flybee 16 on the frame, so if ever you wondered, did I get the 16 or the 20? Just check the frame, it'll tell you. And then we come to the mounting solution for the batteries, and this is a real issue that I have. I mentioned it on the Fly Times 85. I'm going to mention it again. I hate it. I think it's appalling. Just put a strap on the drones, please, Flywoo. You've done so well with your 04 light mounting solutions. Let's sort out that strap-on situation, please, for the love of God. Now, we're going to go to some FPV flights. I did a few flights. Boy Wonder did a flight. And then obviously we've got the crash test as well at the end. Again, we crashed it a few times. It was a really windy day. So to be able to fly a 2S 1.6 inch quad in this way on such a windy day, I think is really impressive. But as I always say, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to talk too much over the flight footage because I don't want my biases to come across in this. What I'd like to happen ultimately is for you guys to watch the footage and make up your own minds as to whether you think this is a decent flying quad or not. I have got stick cam, but because of the amount of cuts I had to make, I haven't included the stick cam. And I did also mic up so that I could narrate the flights as I was flying them. But because we was parked next to a really busy main road, it was just far too noisy. In the next flight, we are going to check the penetration. You will see that there is a mark on the camera. That is just a piece of dirt. I don't think it's this flight. I think it's the one after this. That is just a piece of dirt because we did crash it. Because again, we was flying it nice and hard. There's no point in flying it like Miss Daisy. You guys are going to crash it. So let's find out just how well it can take those crashes. You can't really see the wind here because we are sort of underneath the trees. But it was, believe you me, it was a windy day. Let's just... I'm gonna go quiet because any second now we are going to switch to that next flight. But just bear in mind that mark on the camera, when it does come up, is dirt and nothing else. And the whole point of flying where we flew was to check on the penetration to make sure that those antennas are working as they should. I'll catch you at the end of the flights. Off.
I'm pinching, by the way, so...
So we're here at the park with BoywonderFPV, and he's just taken off the Flywoo Flybee for the first time ever. He's using the Jumper T15. The antennas are down, so that'll annoy some people. How's it going, Boywonder?
It is really floating. Like,
it is really floating.
I'm barely using it at all. I'm using 28% throttle and it's literally going up.
20% throttle and it's going up, he says. Sorry, we are next to a really busy main road here.
I am pinching as well, like so easy to fly.
And he's pinching as well. The boy started as a thumber, but now he's pinching. We can see it just over the top of the park, the playground. That's it, fly over here to the gate and I'll get you on camera.
It's so windy, so it's a bit hot.
It is crazy windy, and then if you turn around and maybe do like a full throttle punch, and away it goes. So, do you think this drone is better or the one you flew yesterday, the Fly Times? Which one would you prefer? If you could only fly one, would it be this one or the Fly Times?
The Fly Times is like a bit more heavy than this, but they are both still very floaty. I am getting some, like, quite a bit of prop wash though.
Yeah, it's so windy. Probably a bit too windy to fly a small drone like this. Right, it's really raining heavily, so really quickly, if you could only have one, would it be this one or the Fly Times 85? This one. Brilliant. Right, come back and land it and I'll film it for you. Here he comes, over the slide. Nice backflip. He's going to fly under the gate. Here he comes. The Flywoo Fly. So now we move on to the durability segment and we smash it first of all into the swings. We drop it on the ground for some inexplicable reason and we fail to do a mighty flip. Let's drop it from about 50 foot in the air.
No!
Okay, so we are going to go and assess the crash site. We are disarmed from the top of those trees, which was probably about 40 foot to be fair. And we're just going to try and find the code. We're going to see how easy it is to find the code. BoywonderFPV knows where it is.
I'm not going to tell you where it is now.
Let me take that off my face. BoywonderFPV knows where it is. But, oh, I can see it. It's over there.
Oh.
Yeah. Now then, the question is there any damage? Because that was quite a high fall. Now, Boywonder, pick it up and let's check it. So, let's have a look. Okay, that looks okay. Spin it upside down. All the props are okay. There's no damage to the 04. Show me the camera. That's still on nice and stable. A bit moist, but that's... And then show me the back of the drone. So we got a little bit of mud where it dug in. But overall, that's a definite pass, and I'm loving doing these crash tests. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, but that's a pass. And now we move on to our community spotlight, and we're going to start with our incredible members. We've got SOS Deaf Pilot, Shaky FPV 21, Silicon Photography, Club Alexandro, BoywonderFPV, Connor Clark, Christopher Concrete, Peter Puff FPV, Scottish Island 420, Jamie Primner, Reindeer, Han Solo, Doper FPV, Mark Duplex, Harry M Photography, JR FPV, James III of Boston, Phil Anderson, Not Here, Oinks FPV, Barry Morgan FPV, and Only Drones. It costs just $1.99 a month to join them on the members bench, and you'll get your name shared out just like that in every video. If I haven't earned that, or I don't deserve that, then just hit the bell icon to make sure that you're notified when we next upload a new video. Now, let's move on to your comments. So the first comment is Funky Quad. A big thank you for this video. That's a great review. I'm very surprised that you say the Meteor 75 flies equally as well. Now this comment was left on the Mobula 704 review video. And I think what I need to do is fly both the Mobula 7 and the Meteor 75 back to back to know whether they do fly equally as well, because obviously the time in between flying them, your mind can sometimes drift a little bit. So I'm going to fly them both back to back, and I'm going to release a short. So do keep an eye on the shorts channels, and we'll drop that down there, and we'll see if my memory serves me correct. James III of Boston, one of our members, said, I wanted to thank you for doing this, mate. The big manufacturers really should be throwing themselves at you to get involved now. No one else in FPV is your depth of review. Never mind, no one is close to your level of honesty. Keep going, mate. I think you're close to making the breakthrough. James, thank you so much. Fingers crossed that the big manufacturers do start noticing soon and will get on board. But always remember, if they do get on board, it will only be as long as they allow me to first of all crash their drones, and to B, be completely open, transparent and honest about what I found when I reviewed them. Fingers crossed, James, thank you. And then BoywonderFPV, he submitted this comment and wouldn't let me not highlight it. So BoywonderFPV, this video is so good, I love it, and it's so informal. He did mean informative on the drone. Thank you so much, Boywonder. I really do appreciate you taking the time to help with the videos and also to leave the comments afterwards. Thank you so much. If you want to get involved and get yourself featured on the next community spotlight, all you need to do is leave a really good comment in the comment section down below. It doesn't have to be praising me and everything I'm doing, although these 3 comments actually are this particular video. That's purely because I did get Boywonder to help me, and he did sort of pick himself out as well. But yeah, get involved. Do leave a comment down below. Make it as standout-ish as possible, and I'll pick 3 for the next video, and we'll make sure that next time only one of them is a member comment. Right, let's find out whether or not you should buy this drone or not. So moving on to almost the segment of do I think you should buy this drone or not. The one thing I forgot to do at the time was to check the noise and the weight of this drone. So that's what we're going to do now. First of all, we're going to check the weight. So initially we're going to drop it on the scales on its own, and it comes out at 47 grams. Now with an 850 mAh battery, it comes out at 84 grams. And then with a 550 mAh battery, it comes out at 75 grams. Moving on to the noise test. We do a couple of tests here, and this first test tops out at 81 decibels. And then what we'll do is we'll just reset the drone and we'll just go again. And I think this particular test tops out at 93 decibels. So that's the noise in the studio. So as always, we come to the segment in this video as to whether or not I think that this is a quad I can recommend people can buy. And I want to touch first of all on the flight time, because that's one thing I've not mentioned. I was flying it generally with a 550 mAh 2S LIHV. And on average, I was getting between sort of 3.5 and 4 minutes of mixed freestyle and a little bit of chilling. If you did more chilling than freestyle, you can get that to about 4.5 to 5 minutes. And if you did more freestyle and less chilling, it's probably about 2.5 to 3 minutes. I think that's probably going to be the best solution for mixed flying. Obviously, you can add a heavier battery to get just cinematics out of it, which will restrict what you can do freestyle, because obviously that extra weight is going to kill the battery time if you do try and do any tricks. But if you just fly in cinematic, that extra weight time will give you a bit of a helping hand. Flywoo say it will take up to 1000 mAh 2S, and they include that stupid battery strap to support that. And that's the first point I'm going to make about the negatives of this drone. I don't know why Flywoo do it. It's more work for them to have to 3D print hundreds of these battery clips to then put in the drone, rather than just making or buying some battery straps. As far as I understand, the battery straps just cost them pennies to make. So I don't know why they do it. From a consumer point of view, it's really frustrating, because if I want to take a quad like this out, I need to make sure that I take the same size batteries out. Otherwise, I've then got to remember to bring all the different size adapters. And while that doesn't sound like a huge hassle, when you forget one, it becomes a huge hassle, because there's very little you can do with the solution that you've got. So I would implore Flywoo personally, just please change that. The other issue with this drone was a relatively minor one, and it was that Betaflight came with the max arming angle set to 25 degrees, which is a real problem if your quad goes down and you can't recover it and you need to take off and you're at 26 degrees. You're screwed. There's nothing you can do. It should always be set to 180 degrees. And what that means is you can always arm it no matter what angle it's at. So if you're upside down in a tree and you can't quite reach it, but it's on the very edge of a branch, and all you needed to do was turn the motors on and it'll vibrate itself out, unfortunately, you couldn't do that if the max arming angle is set to 25 degrees. So it's a minor point, but it is a point that I want to raise nonetheless. We are the home of honest reviews, and no matter how small the issue is, we will always highlight it. There are you know, I don't want to start a YouTube war. This is not what I'm saying this for, but there are other channels that won't mention bigger issues. We will always mention all the issues so that when you buy that drone, nothing will come as a surprise to you. And I think that is the best way of doing this, because it helps the manufacturers. Because how many times have we all followed another YouTuber or marketing material, and you've bought something expecting something else, and then you've emailed the company and said, this is not what I was promised, this is not what it should be. So by making these videos, I really do think that it will help ultimately, whether they agree or not, the manufacturers, but also you guys as the pilots. These things cost a lot of money, and you need to know whether or not it's worth you spending your hard-earned cash on. It does come with ELRS 3 point something, but version 3 basically pre-installed, so that should make it a lot more simple and easier for you guys, unless you're running an older version, of course. Comes with Betaflight 4.5.1, so everything is really up to date, and Flywoo have done an absolute outstanding job with this quad. It is just those two issues. One of them, the Betaflight thing, is not a massive issue, although again, newbies are probably not going to know about that, and that's not something that they're potentially even going to be aware of, let alone actually action. So overall, do I think that this is a quad I can recommend? Absolutely. It comes in two varieties. This is the 1.6 version, and there is also a 2-inch version as well. I flew the Flywoo Fly×85, which is basically the 2-inch version, but with ducks on. This freestyle's a lot better than that. I would probably buy the 2-inch version over this, just so you've got that little bit of extra power and authority in the air. But that said, if you want something really, really small that's in the palm of your hand, that's super quiet, that, as we've seen from the flight footage, is super capable, then I would highly recommend that you pick up one of these Flywoo Flybee 16s or Flywoo Flybee 20s. I'm going to leave a link down below to your FPV. If you're in the UK, I'd highly recommend that you buy it from there. If not, I'll also leave a link to Flywoo's website as well, and international customers can pick one up from there. You guys have all been absolutely amazing. And speaking of amazing, check this video on the end screen now for some more amazingness.